Welcome back to Computer Organization course. Today we will study some standard input-output interfaces. In my previous video, I had explained what are I/O interfaces, what is the necessity of those interface circuits in I/O communication, and the type of or various categories of I/O interfaces. Here we study one of the standard I/O interface, which is called PCI bus, Peripheral Component Interconnect Bus. Overall, we study three different standard of I/O interfaces, that is PCI bus, which is covered in this video, that is part 1 of standard I/O interfaces. Then one more standard, SCSI bus, which is covered in part 2 video of standard I/O interfaces. And finally we study universal serial bus, USB, in the part 3 of standard I/O interfaces. So this video session has part 1, part 2, part 3, three different videos. Before explaining any standard I/O interface, let us see what is standard I/O interface. I have already explained in my previous video what are I/O interfaces, how they work. But it was all about theory. When the practical implementation of that generalized theory is needed, that means when I try to practically implement I/O interface, all the general explanation I had given cannot work. Here I need to be specific about various rules and regulation. Now when the rules has to be set or regulation has to be set based on what are the signals we have to use, what are the responsibility of initiator, what are the responsibility of target, when data has to be transmitted, when communication has to be stopped, all those rules and regulations are specifically set when we practically implement I/O interfaces. Now these rules and regulations vary based on the standard. So these are called the standards. That means the rules and regulation for communication in PCI bus or PCI interface is different than SCSI, and rules and regulations for SCSI communication is different than universal serial bus. Now if I have a new input output device and I want it to be connected to the processor, I select one out of PCI, SCSI or USB interface or bus and connect it to the processor. That means when there is a new device, I have to find whose rules and regulation out of PCI, SCSI and USB, whose rules of regulation are comfortable with my input output device, and choose that bus, and we connect I/O interface of the device to that particular bus. So this is called standard. Now the another use of standard I/O interface is that various input output device have behavior is completely different. When a I/O device is connected to the processor, such multiple I/O devices are connected, processor cannot change its way of communication with every I/O device. It will be very complicated. So that's why we cannot implement I/O interface for every input output device. Instead of that, we have some standard I/O interfaces, that is PCI, SCSI, USB or few more which are not discussed in the syllabus. Now any device which is comfortable with any standard, it will uses that bus to communicate with the processor. So it is highly practically impossible to develop I/O interface for every input output device based on its behavior. So here we are collecting, grouping I/O devices based on the behavior and use one common interface. So such multiple standards are there, and you can connect device to a standard which is comfortable with the device. So the another use of standard I/O interfaces is that we need not to implement I/O interface for every device based on the input output device behavior. Now let us see where are these different standards like PCI, SCSI or USB are used in the computer, we know that processor communicates using a standard bus called processor bus. And all these days we studied that every IO device is connected to this processor bus, and your memory is connected and processor is also connected. So processor, memory and all IO devices are communicates using a single bus called processor bus. But practically it is not possible. That is because see, processor and memory are connected using this processor bus, because this processor bus is highly faster. And what is the reason that processor communicates with the main memory? To execute the instructions, processor may require data, or instruction execution produces data that has to be stored in the memory. So the main memory and processor communication is all about instruction execution, which has to be done faster. So that's why memory is directly connected to the processor using processor bus. And processor also allows some faster input output devices, and which are highly important. Also faster processor allows such devices to be connected through processor bus. But what about all other IO devices? All other IO devices cannot be connected to the processor bus directly. That is, one reason is the electrical reason. There are some electrical limitations that how many devices can be connected to a single bus. Second reason is that the speed of the processor bus is right. If you connect a slower device, input output device, to a processor bus directly, then you are forcing processor bus to work in speed of that slower device. So that affects the processor instruction execution. So because of this reason, processor allows various input output devices use standard IO interfaces, and by using these standard IO interfaces, processor finally connects to the IO devices with the indirectly through the processor bus. All these IO devices are directly connected to the processor bus. Now let us see the standards we studied here, PCI, SCSI or USB. Where exactly we are going to use it? Here we can see that all the remaining part of devices, every device here, IO device, and the processor bus. Okay, there is a PCI bus connected. You can see here PCI bus. Yeah, below PCI bus we have all the IO devices connected. That means PCI bus is the one extended bus of processor bus. That means processor bus is used between processor, main memory and some very important high speed input output devices. All other device communications are done using PCI bus. So PCI bus is connected to the processor bus. Now PCI handles all other IO devices, and its limitations of IO devices, the various rules and regulations, everything is handled by PCI, and finally data is transmitted between IO device and processor through PCI and processor bus. That means PCI is connected to the processor bus. But there is a issue that the PCI standard is different, processor bus standard is different. Processor bus rules and regulation in the processor bus are set in favor of processor. That means architecture of processor bus is aligned towards processor or biased towards processor. So processor has more control on the processor bus. So all IO devices cannot feel comfortable to get connected to the processor bus whose rules or regulations are biased towards processor or in favor of the processor. So PCI bus has a different standard and processor bus standard is different. How can we directly connect it to the processor bus? The data collected by PCI bus is right, the format is different, the way of communication is different, the standard is different. It cannot simply send that data to the processor bus which do not understand the PCI standard. Similarly, processor bus data cannot be sent to the PCI bus. Again, the standards are different. So that is why there is the concept of bridge. So bridge is a circuit which understand processor bus standard as well as PCI bus standard and converts the standards between PCI bus and processor bus when data is transmitted. This bridge is very important. So PCI bus works as a secondary processor bus for all IO devices. Now, what are the use of SCSI bus? SCSI bus protocol or standard is designed mainly concentrating on secondary memory access. That means our secondary memories, disk and your CD-ROMs all. Okay, these secondary memories connect to the PCI bus, because to connect to processor bus, any IO device has to be connected to the PCI bus. So secondary memories like disk or CD-ROM, so secondary memories are connected to the PCI bus through the SCSI bus. SCSI bus handles multiple secondary memory communication. So it is standard SCSI bus whose rules are set in favor with communication of memory or secondary memory. So when processor has to access data from the secondary memory, initially memory is accessed by SCSI bus, and through SCSI bus it is sent to the PCI bus, and from PCI bus it is sent to the processor bus, and finally processor receives the data from the disk. And even processor has to send some data, store it in the secondary disk or secondary memory, then the processor sends it to the processor bus, then it is sent to the PCI bus, then it is sent to the SCSI bus. From SCSI bus it will go to a particular disk where we store that data. So SCSI bus standard is in favor or aligned towards memory management or secondary memory management. Now we can see a SCSI controller. Why do we require SCSI controller? What are the responsibilities? PCI bus is a different standard, right? And SCSI bus has a different standard. So just like a bridge, PCI and SCSI bus, right? SCSI controller handles the managing standards between SCSI and PCI bus. So it converts the standards when it makes the communication. Similarly, USB is the most, plays most vital role in computer system, because most of the devices nowadays we use USB to interface with the processor. So the universal serial bus, which was actually developed by an Indian or Karnataka based scientist, is now widely used basically to connect basic input output devices like a keyboard, mouse and cameras, or any very important and basic input output devices. So most of the devices now adopting USB or designed, most of the input output devices are now designed so that they are comfortable with the USB protocol to communicate with the processor. Now USB, there is again USB controller. Why? Because the standard of the USB bus is different, standard of the PCI bus is different. So that's why there is a USB controller which converts the standards between PCI and USB for transfer of the data. So these are the various parts or region where these different buses are used, that is PCI, SCSI and USB bus. So this is the same explanation I had given just now about various buses and where they are used. So please go through it. So this is also same continued explanation about various standard IO interfaces, that is PCI bus, SCSI bus and USB bus, and where exactly we are using in the computer system. Now let us study these standard, that is PCI bus, SCSI bus and universal serial bus one by one. So in this video I'll cover PCI bus. For SCSI and USB we will upload 2 more videos. So this is the part 1 of standard IO interfaces where I am discussing PCI bus. PCI bus, peripheral component interconnect bus, which is used as a secondary bus to the processor bus, or PCI bus handles all IO devices instead of the faster processor bus. It is a low cost bus and it is a processor independent. That means the standard set in the PCI bus need not to be changed based on the processor. In the previous diagram you can clearly see that PCI bus has a bridge to communicate with the processor and processor bus. So now as different processor vary, that means if it is an Intel processor, the processor bus has rules and regulation related to that processor. If it is an AMD processor, the way of processor works, also the standard of the processor bus vary. If it is a Motorola processor, then again processor bus is different. So based on whenever there is a different processors, processor bus technique also varies. But PCI is processor independent. That means PCI standards, rules, regulation or mechanism need not to be changed. PCI has a fixed standard of communication. Whenever there are various processor and processor bus, the bridge which connects PCI and processor bus, the bridge has to be changed. That's it. So there is some changes should be made to the bridges. So PCI bus is completely processor independent, need not to change its mechanism to connect to different processors. And it is also a plug and play capability. That means when you need to connect a new device to the PCI bus, you need not to make any hardware changes, as well as you need not to make any separate programs you have to install. No, nothing. You can simply plug the new IO device interface to the PCI bus and IO device can start communicating to the processor. So this is plug and play capability of the PCI bus. And PCI bus supports burst data transfer mode. That means using PCI bus, you need not to send only one word of data to the processor or receive only one word of the data from the processor. You can send or receive, that means IO devices can send or receive multiple words of data in a single communication. That is called burst mode. We have gone through this in my earlier videos. Then one more characteristics of PCI bus is that it supports 3 different type of memories. One memory, that is a general primary memory where data has to be stored, right? So input devices store data in that memory, or output devices receive data from that memory. That is a general memory where data storage is done. And it also supports a separate dedicated memory to identify input output devices. That is memory mapped input output devices. Please go through this video, that is memory mapped IO devices, in my previous sessions. So this memory is used to allocate address to every IO device, so that processor can identify every input output devices based on the address. And it also supports a separate memory called configuration memory, where details of various IO devices are stored, so that the communication, right, during the communication other devices can access this configuration space and understand the another device which is in the communication. The most important property of PCI bus is utilizing address bus itself as the data bus, or utilizing address lines itself as data lines. That means, what is the purpose of address lines in a bus or in a communication between two devices? See, when master who initiates the communication wants to communicate with another device, which is a slave device, master initiates the address. That means master places address of the slave device on the address lines. All the devices access that address and try to identify whether that address belongs to that particular IO device. Now master has placed slave address in the address, so that particular device identifies itself, so slave has been selected for the communication. So address lines purpose is to carry the address at the beginning or initiation of the transaction or communication, carry that address to all the devices and make slave identify it, and for this selection of the slave. Once slave identifies its address and slave has been selected for the communication, then master and slave can communicate, right, transfer data using data lines. But now what is the purpose of address lines? Now address lines are not used once slave is selected. That's why PCI bus reuses that address lines. Once slave has been selected, the data transfer between master and slave is done through address lines itself. There are no separate data lines here. Since there are no separate data lines, that part of the hardware is remained. I mean, that need not be implemented. So here data bus, generally PCI bus, right, includes control signals and address signal. Now there is no data signals or data lines. The data lines are nothing but address lines itself are used as the data lines once slave has been selected. That's why the cost of this PCI bus is less when compared to any general bus which has address, control and separate data lines. Here only control and address lines itself as used as the data lines. So the cost is reduced. That is the cost here we are talking about. And one more thing, the master and slave, we know the definition. Master is the device which starts or initiates the communication, and master gives the address of another device it want to communicate. That another device is called as the slave. But in the PCI bus, master is called as initiator and slave is called as target. Other than all these, standard of PCI bus is different than any other standard based on the signals also, or control lines. Means there are control signals in the PCI bus which are different than SCSI or USB bus. That's why it is called another standard. PCI bus is another standard and SCSI bus is another standard. USB bus is another standard. Now what are the control signals or control lines PCI bus makes use of in order to make communication? Let us see those signals or control lines of the PCI bus. Here there are 8 different important data transfer signals or control lines or control signals of the PCI bus. This is very important in the point of exam also. So these 8 we'll study one by one. Initially we have clock. We know that the PCI bus is a synchronous bus, works on the clock. So there is a clock that is 33 megahertz or 66 megahertz. Okay, there are 2 types of PCI bus, where in one PCI bus clocks is 33 megahertz. In another PCI bus the frequency of the clock is 66 megahertz, and it makes use of clock because PCI bus is synchronous bus. Then there is a signal called frame signal. It is 1 bit or 1 line. Okay, frame signal which carries either 0 or 1. Now this frame signal is actually set or reset by the initiator. Okay, so initiator uses the frame signal to indicate other device that timer has been started for the communication. When initiator takes back that frame, that means communication time is over. So initiator initially decides the time or duration of the communication, and at the beginning of the communication frame is used. Then once the time is over, that's fixed time by the master is over, master takes back that frame signal. So to indicate that the time for the communication is done. Then we know that AD signal, interesting one, because there is no address and data lines separately here. That AD is a single one set of lines which is used for address at the beginning, and once the target is selected, then same address lines are used for the data transfer. So here it is 32-bit address or data lines. And another variation of PCI bus has 64-bit. You can have one more PCI bus where you can increase that address and data lines to 64-bit. So generally it is 32-bit. So initially 32-bit address is transferred to identify a target. Once target is identified, target device is identified itself and participates in the communication, same 32-bit address lines are used as data lines to transfer the data. Then C bar, right, BE. Now here hash is there, or even in the frame there is hash. Hash means it is active low signal. That is, instead of using frame bar to represent it as a hash active low signal or BE bar, in textbook they have used hash signal, hash suffix. So we are using same here. So hash means it is active low signal. So frame is active low signal, byte enable is active low signal, because here the C bar byte means command bar byte enable signal, which works as a command at the beginning of initiation of the transaction. The command four lines command that indicates whether it is a read operation or write operation. This is set by the initiator. So initiator decides whether it want to read the right from the target or send data to the target. So that is the command, read or write command issued by the processor, initiator. And once data transfer takes place, same 4 command lines are used as a byte enable line. That means out of 32-bit, the 32-bit data lines, that means there are 4 bytes of data, right? 32-bit means 4 bytes. So in PCI bus, you need not to transfer 32-bit data at a time, or you can send less data also. That means byte wise also possible. Out of 4 bytes, that is 32-bit data line, out of 4 bytes, the device can transfer only 1 byte. Now there are 4 bytes. The byte enable, once data transfer takes place, it is byte enable is used by the sender of the data. who sends the data, that device, either master or target, initiator or target, anybody can send the data. That device uses byte enable to inform another device or receiver that out of 4 bytes, which bytes are valid, through which byte the sender is sending the data. So if it is a 64-bit data bus or address bus, then we have to use 8 command lines or byte enable lines. Then we have two signals called initiator ready signal and target ready signal. This is used when initiator gives the address and command, then target identifies the address of its own address, then target is ready. Okay, target is ready, initiator target both are ready to transfer the data. Then initially target ready signal is used by the target to inform that target is ready to send or receive the data, and then initiator also makes the ready signal when it starts transferring the data or receiving the data. So initiator and target ready signals are used once initiator and targets are identified. Okay, so now device select. Okay, this is used before initiator and target ready. Device select is used before initiator and target ready signal by the target device to inform the initiator that it has identified the address and ready to participate in the communication. Because initially initiator places address in the address line, right, and command read or write command in the command line. Then all the devices receives the address. The initiator identifies its address and uses device select signal to inform the target identifies the address and informs the initiator that I have identified my address and I am ready to participate in the communication. That means initiator gets a confirmation that the address I sent of the device has identified. Okay, then there is one more, the last signal. Okay, device select, initialization device select, ID, SCL, that we'll study in the later part of this session. Okay, so these are the signals or control signals or data transfer signals used in the PCI standard. Okay, some points about these signals we discussed now. One is, I told you, the hash means that is active low signal. Okay, so when there is a frame, right, frame bar anta, instead of that they have used frame hash. So okay, that is to indicate active low signal. Then one thing about the command or byte enable. So it is 4 line, right, or it might be extended to 8 lines if it is a 64-bit address data bus. Generally PCI bus has 32-bit address data bus and command lines are 4 lines. So this command means we can use read and write command. Okay, initiator uses that command lines to inform whether it's a read operation or write operation. But when there are 4 different lines, that means it is 4-bit, command is 4-bit. So there are 16 different commands are possible. So just to along with read and write command, actually 14 more commands are possible. But out of 16, only 12 commands are defined in the PCI bus. Remaining 4 commands are not yet defined. Then during data transfer phase, right, these command lines are used as byte enable lines. I told you, right, the command lines are used as byte enable lines by the sender of the data, okay, during data transfer. So sender, either initiator or target, whoever sends the data, uses byte enable because data or address line is 32-bit. That means there are 4 bytes in that, right, 4 bytes. Now out of 4 byte, the sender of the data can use all 4 bytes or can send any 1 byte. So out of 4 bytes of the data lines or address line, data lines, sender of the device uses byte enable to inform which byte has actual valid data. So this information is sent to the receiver. So that is why it is called byte enable. Then what is a transaction? There is a keyword used in the PCI bus called transaction. Transaction means PCI supports burst mode, means it can allow transferring of multiple words of data in a single communication. So when there is a transfer of multiple words, once all the words are transferred, then it is called a transaction. One transaction means in a single communication all required amount of words are transferred. So it's called transaction is done, or one transaction. Then there is a keyword called phase. when multiple words has to be sent and all the required words are sent, it is called transaction. But when there are multiple words has to be sent, after each word is sent successfully, that is called a phase. That means if I require to transfer 4 words of data, okay, there will be 4 phases, because after each word is transmitted, we call one phase is done. Transfer of one word is called phase, and one transaction, that is transfer of all the words. This is the timing diagram of various data transfer signals used in the PCI bus. And you can see there is a clock because PCI bus is synchronous bus. Here read operation is taken as the example. That means here initiator selects the sends the address of the target, and target identifies itself, and it is a read operation. That means initiator accept data from the target. So target has to prepare data and send it to the initiator. So now let us see how exactly all the signals works in synchronous manner to transfer the data through BCI. So initially initiator who starts the communication, that's why he is called initiator. So initiator places address of the target device in the address line, which are later used as the data lines. Also keeps the command whether initiator wants to read or write, that is a command. So here we have taken read operation, so initiator uses read command, and initiator starts a frame. That means initiator started the time duration of communication. So after some time, when initiator fixes the time duration and the duration is over, the initiator takes back that, makes that frame as 1 to indicate that duration of the communication is over, no more communication can be done. So that is because using PCI bus we can send multiple unit of data. So that's why initiator fixes the frame, okay, that is the length of the frame, and uses frame signal. It makes 0, initiator makes it 0 during start of the transaction, and when initiator makes it 1 when its fixed time of transaction is done. And you can also see a small gap here, right? Gap between initial clock cycle here. Clock cycle begins at this right trigger, but there is a gap between here. That is because the internal delay between right circuit. So when the initiator keeps address, command or frame signal, those signals take some time to appear on the right signal lines. That is internal delay that we discussed in right previous sessions. So initially initiator places address of the target and also issue read command and starts the frame here. Means frame initiator makes frame as 0. So now what happens, this address travels to all the devices connected to the PCI bus. Every device controllers or interface circuits receive that address and check whether that address belongs to those devices. So it is address belongs to only one particular device, right? So that device here, that device identifies its address and ready to participate in the communication as the target device. So target device identifies and uses device select signal. Target device uses this signal and makes that signal. Target device makes device select signal as 0 to inform initiator that I have identified myself and I am ready to participate in the communication. Now this is a read operation. So target device has to prepare the data. So target device prepares the data and makes use of that command line here. Initially there is a command, a read command given by the initiator. Now the command lines are used as a byte enable line because there are 32-bit, right? That means 4 bytes in this address or data lines. So sender or target here need not use all the 4 bytes. So it uses the byte enable here signal to inform the initiator that through which 4 bytes out of 4 bytes, which bytes are used to transfer the data. Okay, this is used by byte enable is used by now target because this is a read operation. Target prepares the data and uses the address or data lines to send that data to the initiator. So target makes use of this byte enable and informs initiator that out of 4 bytes of data lines, which byte is used to, you can use multiple bytes or all 4 bytes. Okay, so once byte enable is done, target places the data in the data bus here. So target places the first unit of data, 1 byte, 2 byte, 3 byte, or all 4 bytes. First unit of data placed in the data bus, and target ready, it uses target ready signal to inform the initiator that I have prepared the data, kept it in the bus, and I have informed using data byte enable which byte is used, all this information. So when target ready signal goes down, initiator comes to know that data has been placed. So initiator also goes down, 0. So now initiator reads the data from the address or data bus, the first unit of data. So target prepares second unit. I told you that multiple unit of data can be transferred using PCA bus. So once a data is prepared and kept on the one unit of data, that is 1 byte, 2 byte, 3 byte, or all 4 bytes, initiator reads it because it is a read operation. Then target device keeps another set of data, right, another unit of data. So like this in every clock cycle, you can observe here, right, this is every clock cycle, one clock cycle. So every clock cycle, different unit of data, multiple units of data is transmitted between target and initiator. So why clock? Because it is a synchronous bus. PCA is a synchronous bus where it is already fixed that for every clock cycle a new unit of data has to be transmitted. So initiator keeps receiving data after every clock cycle. Now if in between, if target has failed to prepare the data, so it has sent first unit of data, target sent second unit of data, but third unit of data is not ready with the target now. That time target ready signal, right, target makes it as high here. As long as target ready signal is high, okay, data transmission is paused, stopped. So the second unit itself, that data itself will be there in the data bus as long as target ready signal is 0, means target is preparing the data. Once target prepares the data, it keeps on the data bus here. Okay, when it is it keeps on the data bus that data and makes this signal, that target ready signal, as 0 again. When it makes 1, that means it is not ready. So that the advantage here is every now and then when target is not ready, it can make its target ready signal as 1 and pause the communication. Then when the data is ready, it places on the data bus and resume the communication. So when target is not ready, we need not to start a new communication every time. So a communication can be paused and again resumed using target ready signal. Similarly, if initiator is sending the data, means in the write operation, if initiator is sending the data and initiator don't have data right now, it can stop the, right, using initiator ready signal, it can stop or pause the communication transferring of data by making this initiator ready signal as 1. When it goes down to 0 again, that means initiator has placed now the data in the data bus. So this is how in read and write operation target and initiator ready signals can be used, which is discussed in your textbook also. Now after some time, when the fixed duration by the initiator to transfer the data is done, because the initiator initially only gives the frame signal as 0, means it has started the duration. So after some time, the fixed duration, that is like 4 clock cycle or 5 clock cycle, after those clock cycles, initiator makes it as 1, frame signal as 1. So to indicate the sender device or target device that data transfer time is done. That time immediately data transfer is not stopped because there is a delay to transfer that frame signal from the initiator to the target. There is some time delay will be taken, right? So that's why when initiator makes that frame as 1, frame signal as 1, so it reaches here after a clock cycle, somehow it reaches the target. So till there, right? So till there, target keeps sending the data in the data bus, the various different unit of data. So once target comes to know that time is over, frame is over, so target here you can see target goes up. That means 1, target ready is done, and device select also goes up, means target is out of the communication now, and also initiator makes it as 1 after reading all the data sent by the target. So this is a one set of communication done using PCI bus using various signals and synchronous bus technique. Also, I explained how initiator ready and target ready can be used in the data transfer to pause and resume data transfer when data is not ready. So device configuration, this is a separate phase, okay, in the PCI bus. We know that PCI supports three types of memory: the actual memory, primary memory where data can be stored or retrieved, then IO mapping, right, where memory is used to find allocate address to the every IO device, and one more type of memory is called configuration memory. Configuration memory stores various information regarding a device, IO device connected to the PCI bus. So looking at the configuration address, right, of a particular device, there will be information of the device. So PCI bus can identify whether it is a printer or keyboard, what kind of device it is, so what are its various options, characteristics of that device. So all these things are stored in the configuration memory, okay, in a particular address for every device. So every device details are stored in particular addresses in the configuration memory to identify those devices. Now, during initial PCI bus setup, a new PCI bus is set up, okay, or during when a new input output device is connected to the PCI bus. In both the cases, IO devices do not have address because this is initial newly PCI is set up or a new IO device is connected. So at that time IO devices don't have address to identify itself. So that time if PCI initialization software, or generally I can say PCI bus, wants to access configuration memory to know about a device. To know about a device, PCI want to access, right, particular address of that device where information about the device is stored. But device do not have address first of all. It is newly connected or PCI itself is newly set up, so no devices have address. That time how to identify the details stored in the memory, because in configuration memory details of all devices are stored. So to get the details of a particular address whose address is not yet allocated, that time the devices makes use of initialization device select signal. So when there is no address allocated yet to a device, but PCI requires to access its information in the configuration memory, okay, that time the device and PCI uses initialization device select signal, okay, before allocating any address to the device. So this is called device configuration, okay, and using that, now using this signal, PCI identifies where the information is stored of a particular IO device in the configuration space and reads the information, finds out what kind of device it is and allocates the address. So this is called device configuration. So here electrical characteristics of PCI bus is given. That means PCI bus works with either 5 volt or 3.3 volt power supply. So, okay, that means whenever here in PCI bus, whenever say bit 1, okay, it will be either 5 volt or 3.3 volt. Whenever say 0, it will be 0 volt. So PCI bus overall works on 5 volt or 3.35 volt of electric power supply. So that is the electrical characteristics of PCI bus. Now we studied at the beginning also some characteristics of PCI bus, that is plug and play, right? PCI is processor independent. PCI makes use of address lines for data transfer. There are no separate data lines there. So such characteristics we studied. This is one of the electrical characteristics. So PCI bus plays very important role. It works as alternative processor bus for every IO device. So instead of connecting every IO device to the processor bus, PCI bus handles all those IO devices in the computer system. So it is a secondary processor bus. We can call it as secondary processor bus. Okay, using PCI uses address 32-bit address or sometimes 64-bit address. So it has a long range of input output devices. That means using 32-bit address, just identify how many devices you can address. That is 2 to the power of 32. So that many IO devices can be handled by PCI. Address lines are used as data lines. So even data lines, when they are 32-bit or 64-bit, there is a heavy bandwidth, right? We can send 32-bit of data or 64-bit data in a single transaction. So its bandwidth is also high. and it can accommodate more number of devices. So this is all about PCI bus. In the next video, standard IO interface part 2, we will study the SCSI bus, and in part 3 we will study USB bus. So please follow the part 2 of the standard IO interfaces about SCSI bus. Thank you.